another live episode of Halftime Adjustments. It's your host, Eddie Arnell, my man G Witt, and my
Tighten up, baby.
man Jay. What's going on, fellas?
Going on, gents?
Man, here we are, guys, a week away from the kickoff of the 2022 Tennessee Titans NFL season. Got the Giants coming in here for a 325 kick at Nissan Stadium, trying to bring in and got a new head coach in Brian DeBall. Of course, if you're not familiar with him, he was the offensive coordinator for the Bills, so you already know what they're trying to do. They're trying to run a gun down the field. Don't know if they got those type of weapons, but we'll break that down in a minute. But guys, the 53 is set, right? And we'll talk about some surprises here and there. But we did pretty good last week, fellas. We did real good as far as getting the 53 set. And let's look at the offense real quick and see if there was any surprises. And let's talk about this offense, man, and see. Of course, I think everybody was on the same page as far as outside of what we said about the quarterback situation, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Malik Willis, I'll be the first one to say I'm just barely surprised by it, but I think that last game was really what did it in when he played the entire, pretty much the whole game except for the last 5 minutes. You knew he was locked in, but my biggest surprise, in all honesty, is Chestnut. I was surprised when they kept him on the 53-man roster. That I'm still trying to figure that one out. But I think what we see happening here is the fact that what may happen, let me put it like this, is that you don't know if he's going to be activated on the Sunday when he plays. One of those running backs is not going to be activated, either him or Hassan Haskins. So they're going to keep both of them, but the fullback is going to be there. Other than that, really, there were no real surprises on the offensive side of the ball, at least not to me. Mm-hmm. Receivers went pretty much like we thought they would. Offensive linemen, for the most part, went like we thought they would. The thing that got me was them trading for your boy from Carolina. Dennis Daly. I was surprised by that. But again, once I saw the positions that he played, that kind of made sense to me. They want to get somebody who's going to be able to play multiple, because they're thinking about O-line depth, especially with them going down the way. And that was pretty much, really, that was it. That was the only surprise I had, was Julius Chestnut, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
Everybody else was pretty much on point.
So, Jay Lou, let's talk about the offensive line, man, because this is one of our issues in the offseason through preseason. Now, we were texting back and forth about this Dennis Daly character. I'll say it that way. And man, just by the film. Now, I understand what G Witt's saying about depth and he can play a lot of positions, but man, what did G Witt call his boy Monya? A revolving door?
Right, yeah.
That cat can't block it all. So, Jay Lou, talk to me about this 53 side on offense.
Yeah, I mean, the surprise was, as G Witt said, Chestnut, and I think Chestnut made the 53 because of who was the running back that Jeff Fisher tried to sneak on, and we didn't.
LeGarrette Blount.
LeGarrette Blount. Yeah. I'll be honest. I think that's why Chestnut stayed, because they couldn't. He put on enough good film where he wouldn't have been able to slide through. Because if you notice, every other person we brought back was in camp with us. And that's why, again, as we got down to it, outside of Arthur Smith wanting to be building the Atlanta Titans, I think they knew that they could get Logan back on the practice squad as a veteran. So that's why you keep the two with that one. But yeah, Dennis Daly, man, that's the Dennis Kelly 2.0. You saw everybody asking about Dennis Kelly when the coach let him go, and he signed right back with the coach. I think this was them trying to be younger at that position. I think Daly's been in the league 4 years, if I'm not mistaken, when I looked. So trying to get younger in the position, and G Witt been preaching all summer long about the coaches are going to have to earn their paycheck. Yeah. Offensive line coach, man, I guess they could see something in him. The wild card to me on the offensive line is Jamarco Jones. We didn't see nothing from him during the summer at all. I mean, he was brought in to possibly compete for the starting left guard position, and then Aaron Brewer just took it and never relinquished it, and Jamarco really didn't get on the field. So, depth is what they have to build there. I think they got about 3 or 4 offensive linemen, if I remember right, on the practice squad. Which again, majority of them were in camp with us. So you're hoping that the 5 just stays healthy. I mean, we've seen it. It's 18 game season, so you're gonna have some nicks and crooks. I mean, Taylor Lewan is good for missing a game or two. So just where can we have that body that can help us get by? But I'm like you, Ed. When you watch the video on him, I mean, I know Mr. Daly has the playing experience. Because I mean, he started some games for Carolina and whatnot and moved in all those positions. So he's got the experience, and this is where coaching is going to really have to come to fruition because the offensive line is. As we text back and forth, our offensive line hasn't been right since 2018 or 19. Whenever we didn't pick up Jack Conklin's his extension, and we've been fighting it since then between the Panda and everybody else. It's just been the right tackle spot has really put this offensive line back by about 5 years.
Yeah, and if it turns out to be a issue going forward, to cost us a game here and there when it's crucial. Jay Robert, he'll never live it down. I mean, all the good things he's done for this team, that'll be his one Achilles heel, is that right tackle position. When you had arguably at the time 2 of the best tackles in the league with him and Lewan, and you chose to let him walk. And so, this other thing that happened this week, guys, on the offensive side of the ball, of course, Racing McMath goes to the IR, but we signed Josh Gordon to the practice squad.
Yeah.
So saw a lot of interesting comments there. And as we was talking through text, a great talent if he can stay out of trouble, right? Good size guy, got some good speed, can catch. This guy stay out of trouble. This guy stay out of trouble, J. Lou.
I mean, this is one of those low risk, high reward situations. I mean, you got him on the practice squad. I didn't realize that he's just 30. I mean, it feel like he'd been in the league forever, but you got to remember he was a part of the previous CBA when they were testing for marijuana, and they don't really test like that as much. Because when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, that's been his only troubles. He's been off the field for that. So you hope that he comes in. This is the next stop for him. He's been with Kansas City last year. I believe he was with Kansas City, and they just cut him. He was in there with them this summer. So I mean, I like the chance that they took on him. I mean, you don't really see us bring these type of players in like that, which again, I don't want to say that he's a character type issue player, because his issues have been something that I think is where he needs self-control with, and they don't test like that in the league for it now. So I mean, if you can get him up to speed, I think it was a good thing. And again, I kept telling y'all we would see some manipulation with the roster. So I think it was a perfect time where you brought him in here where there's a great opportunity that he can be a game day elevation next week. Because you've got him in enough, and you can scale down the playbook enough where he can give you 10 to 15 snaps on the field. And like you said, Ed, the talent's there. I mean, he led the league. This is one of the most dominant receivers in the league at one time when he was in Cleveland. So, that's anything that can bolster that wide receiver room. But I like the pickup and the signing.
Yeah, I said the same thing, really. Like you said, it's just a matter of if he can just, for lack of a better term, just keep his nose clean. If he stays clean, stays healthy, I think it's a pretty good, like you said, low risk, high reward thing, because one thing it does, it brings more experience to that wide receiver room. That's going to be the main thing. It just brings more experience. I mean, granted, he hasn't played a lot in his tenure because of all the suspensions and everything, but when he did play, he was a dominant receiver. So he brings that experience and everything, and could literally, like you say, be a game day activation and give you some more experience to put on the field, especially since you've been running into issues with Treylon Burks sometimes getting nicked up and everything. So he definitely gives you a solid backup for him. So you're not really worried about bringing in rookies to back up somebody. You got somebody with some experience that's going to be able to go in there and play. And like you said, it may be 10 to 15, maybe 20 snaps. You never know. But if he can give you that and get production out of it, that's a good thing.
And I'm with you, J. Lou. The wild card to me for the offensive line is Jamarco Jones, because like you said, we hadn't seen him. We don't know what kind of talent he has. We know he can play multiple positions. It can provide some depth. And so it's just interesting to see him when he's on the field, if he gets the chance to get in that lineup. And one thing that we talked about before the show came on, is that it's pretty interesting on ESPN and on the Titans website. The depth chart hadn't been updated on the Titans website. And if you look at ESPN's website, Dennis Daly is starting at left guard. Let's just hope that's just a typo.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is.
If you would.
I'm sure it is, because I would hazard a guess that one of the things they wanted Dennis Daly for, in all honesty, and it's going to be dangerous regardless. It's like Ty Sombrero, a backup tackle, because you don't really have any backup tackles.
Right. And so the tight ends, we had that no brainer there. 4 tight ends, of course. Tommy Hudson's on the IR, so 3 with Hooper, Swain, and Chig, and so offense is pretty set. I'm not too worried about the receiver room right now. I think we got some pretty good guys, as we've been talking about here last few weeks, especially after we've seen them in camp and in preseason. I think we've got more talent there than what we could imagine at this point, I would say. And the thing is the number one offense getting getting that chemistry together. But we all agree that Tannehill had all his guys doing camp, and that was the difference this year from last year. And so hopefully they come out. Go ahead.
My bad. One thing I'll say that's shocking just a little bit on the tight end position, we don't really. I'm sorry. Think about the previous Titans teams. We really don't have blocking tight ends outside of Swain. When you really get down to it. So to me, that's almost a shift in the philosophy on how they want to use the tight ends. Think about a couple years ago when we had Jonnu and all, and we were using them like we've been talking all summer, the middle of the field, the short, the dink and dunk, as I want to call it, because that's been missing in this offense that really works. And so when you look at that was my main reason of thinking I kept 4 before I knew Hudson would go to IR, because you think Hudson and Swain, those are your blocking tight ends. Not saying Hooper and Chig can't, but they're more receiving. So to really see us go more heavy receiving tight ends lets me know that I foresee us, and again, we've seen it in practice and heard it. I think the short passing game, I think this is where Tim Kelly's going to make his call, and where we really see his fingerprints on this offense, if we see that type of offense, just given the tight ends that we kept.
Yeah, and I agree. You know, we talked about that last week about this offense changing that as far as the passing game goes, that philosophy, doing it more dink and dunk because of the offensive line, and giving them time to keep Tannehill upright, and the young receivers right outside of Robert Woods and NWI. And so getting the ball out of his hand quick, the quick 3-step drops, doing things like that, and then hitting them over the top, after they get started to bite on those shorter routes. And so I think hopefully we'll see that change in philosophy and see this offense get moving early on, because we all know, man, we can't start week 1 like we did last year with Chandler Jones having 5 sacks.
No, not at all.
It's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, because the Giants, they got some people up front that's going to cause some problems too, or they could cause problems. Yeah. So let's take a look at the defense guys on that side of the ball. And one of the comments was did we have 7 defensive linemen? I think we had 7 defensive linemen. I think the difference was we all thought Murch would make the initial 53. We didn't have him going to the practice squad. But anyway, so a big blow dealt this week, J. Lou, man, with the loss of Harold Landry at ACL. That's 12 sacks from your team last year. You had, arguably one of the best front 4s, front 7s, if you will, in the league this year. And, that's going to be a huge loss. And there's a few guys that's going to have to step up and take that slack.
Yeah, he's arguably one of the top 3 important players on the defense. If you think about him, Big Jeff, and Kevin Byard, you talk about 12 and a half sacks, but you lose more than that. You lose, and we joke about it, but you lose. He played 95% of the snaps. Never came off the field. Now, I'm a joke about it, but we don't have to see him in coverage. That's the one thing I hated. They had him in coverage. But to his credit, he got better as the season went on. He played against the run well. And you really hate to see that injury. The silver lining in that injury is that it happened during the off week before we started, because you get the time now. Ola, Diane, Weaver, they all know that they're going to get more playing time than expected now. So you've had a whole 8-9 days to install that in them and get that mindset right, as opposed to, it happening in the game or going down. So that's the one silver lining, but a huge blow, man. You talk 12 and a half sacks, and you just really wanted to see what this front 4, we talked about it. This front 4 had the opportunity to be something special. I still think it can. I think that if you can get Bud, because people got to remember, Landry played a lot on the same side with Big Jeff last year.
Mhm.
So you'll use the Nico on the outside a little bit, and we all think Bud's gonna be Bud. If Jeff still comes to be Aaron Donald 2.0, which I think, I mean, he's playing for a contract, and I think we see Big Jeff do Big Jeff things. I still think this front four has opportunity to be special because that person is filling in for Harold now. You would think theoretically should see a lot of one-on-ones, and they just got to win those. And if Weaver can give us even a glimpse of what he's been showing in the past in the preseason and get better as the season goes on, then I think we'll be okay. Now again, I think you'll see him shuffle a lot because Weaver's not a coverage guy or 95% snap guy like Harold was.
Right.
So you're gonna have to. This is where the depth that we talked about on the defensive line, this is where it comes to play because they've got the rushers to do it. But definitely a huge blow. You hope Landry, recovers well. And again, you hate to see those non-contact. What did you say it was, G? They were just going through conditioning in practice and tears it.
So G Witt, and I'm gonna turn it over to you so you can get your input on the defense. But G Witt, this is exactly what I thought, and I know you probably thought this too. So we know we didn't see Harold Landry in the preseason at all.
Hey,
And I'm wondering if he had a hamstring issue for him to hurt a knee doing conditioning, like they say. I'm just wondering because as well as I know, is once you have hamstring problems, that leads to ACL injury type injuries to your knee. And so G Wood, it's Weaver, Denier, and also Derek Tuszka from Pittsburgh. I think there's an opportunity for those guys.
Well, there's definitely going to be opportunity for him. It's no doubt about that. Like I said, I've been wondering all training camp. We hadn't seen Harold Landry on the field. He hadn't been practicing. So I'm like you, Ed. I thought, something must have been up beforehand, and they got him out there hoping that he was going to be okay and get out there and his knee went. But like you said, J. Lou, I still think this defense is going to be pretty good. I think one of the things you're going to miss out on with him being out, the one thing that concerns me, Harold Landry played the run extremely well.
Oh yes, set the edge perfect.
Yes,
and that's the thing. I think we got to see how that comes out. Weaver plays the run well as also. That's the reason why I think he may be the starter as opposed to a Denier because he plays the run well. But the key for Harold Landry, he played the run well, and I heard a commentator say this, and I was like, he's right on point. Harold Landry was a finisher.
Oh yeah,
he was a finisher. And I think we're gonna have to see Weaver start, improve, and be able to get to the quarterback. He's gonna do it differently than Landry did, but he's got to be able to get to the quarterback because having Bud Dupree on the opposite side is going to give him that opportunity.
Oh yeah,
he's going to have that opportunity. As we stated last year after we watched the playoff game, every time Bud Dupree got a chance to play, that pass rush got substantially better.
Yes.
So I'm looking to see if that's going to be able to continue. But other than that, man, it was good seeing Denico Autry finally getting back out there practicing.
Yes, sir.
I was concerned about that. So he's going to be out there. Granted, he's got a wrist injury, but he's obviously going to play through that. I agree with you, J. Lou. Big Jeff, if he comes and does Big Jeff things, the sky's the limit for this defense. The offensive linemen, they're having problems thinking about him. And it's just going to be one of those things, man. We got to wait and see. But that was a huge blow, man. I hated to see that happen. But I guarantee you they were prepared for it because he hadn't practiced the whole training camp. So it had to be something going on. And I think, they just had to be prepared for it. It was good. You saw Weaver got all those snaps in that last preseason game. So he's got to be ready. He's got to be ready to step up because it's his time. Next man up. That's the mentality. Next man up. So he's him, a Denier, and I wouldn't be surprised if they might bring your boy off the practice squad and bring him up on a game day.
David Anini.
Yeah.
I think that's a possibility too. He flashed some plays during preseason. We were talking about him making the team, and he did make the practice squad, like you mentioned, G Witt, and that might be a possible solution as well to bring him up and let him get in that rotation. I think though, to your point, J. Lou, if they put Jeffrey on the side of Weaver, that'll give him a chance to have more one-on-one blocks.
Yes.
And just give him more of an opportunity to be more effective off the side. I'm not saying he can't beat a guy without having somebody to be double teamed on his side, but you get one-on-one opportunities, you would think majority of the time you could win those battles. And so, 7 defensive linemen. We talked about 5 outside linebackers. Of course, Landry gets hurt. Surprised about Jones, guys. We talked about him. Joe Jones not making the squad. I thought he had a chance to be on this 53 man. Of course, he's on the practice squad, but he really had a pretty good preseason, if you will. And so inside linebackers, we talked about that. I feel pretty good about the linebacker situation now inside. Jay Lou, we talked about that a bunch with these young guys with Chance Campbell, a tackling machine. Of course, Monty Rice is going to be out for the first 4 games, and then Dylan Cole behind Long and Cunningham.
Yeah, and they played well. G Wood mentioned about Weaver, man. That's the one thing about the preseason. The guys you just named between Weaver, Chance Campbell, and Dylan Cole, they played a lot of snaps. And again, I know the speed's different from preseason to season, but they at least got that repetition out and got that game mentality out there. And Chance Campbell, man, again, you have a little drop off when you look at speed. But it was either him or Cole that on one of them, I think it was the second preseason game, was running stride for stride with a wide receiver down the middle of the field. Right. I like the depth there where they can come in and spell. I mean, we got two strong guys in the front, Long and Cunningham, that are a three down lineman. With Hurl going out and just looking at the first 4 games or so that we play, and outside of the team, outside of the Giants, because I think the Giants, even though they got Buffalo's coach, I think they're going to be built more to run. But you've got Buffalo after that. You got the Vegas Raiders. Teams that like to spread it out and throw the ball. Don't be surprised. And we talked about this in offseason. You're going to see a lot of it. We ain't got to the DBs yet, but you're going to see a lot of dime 3-2-6 out of this team.
Right.
With some of these, with some of those safeties are going to be used as extra linebackers because they play the run well, and you'll just rush with 3. But I'm like you. I definitely feel strong on the inside linebacker, especially once we got to me that, I mean, the focus was on Malik in the preseason, which rightfully so. Yeah. But when you start looking at Campbell and Cole and Weaver, those players to me got better every single game that we saw them in the preseason. That's all you could ask for.
And that's the thing about it, because I was going to say about Campbell. Campbell was the fact, playing so much in the preseason, it got him to the point to where he started trusting what he was seeing and going out making the plays. He's still going to have his bumps and bruises throughout the regular season when he gets in there, but at least he knows he can trust his eyes when what he sees and go for it. Yeah. That's going to be the thing for him. I think as far as the inside linebacker is concerned, I think we're good as far as, like you said, with David Long and Zach Cunningham. I think both of them will be fine, especially with this defense that we have, especially when you got a defensive line that can keep offensive linemen off of them. Yeah. I just think that is so huge for both of them. The thing is going to be, and I agree with you, we're going to see a lot of safeties in there, because covering running backs out the backfield and covering tight ends off the line. Because remember the 3rd game we got Darren Waller, man, and that's that. And and you got to have a safety to cover him, because a linebacker can't do it. So, it's going to be one of the things that we're going to see a lot with the DBs in this defense. Is going to be, I'm interested to see how Schwartz and Shane Bowen are going to actually run this, how they're going to run their blitzes, because basically what we're going to do is get the ball out, make them throw short passes, and, let these guys make the tackles, make the interception, cause the fumbles, do everything they can to stop these high-powered offenses from going down the field so quick, and not stand on the field too long. Getting off the field on 3rd down is going to be key.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't get past Dawson Knox for the Bills, so there's another tight end. That's a weapon. And so a lot of these teams that we're playing, especially early on, man, they have some good tight ends that can really run routes and catch the football. And so, to your point, G, we're going to have those hybrid safeties. And so, as we're talking about the secondary now, that was one of the surprises that we all thought. Well, I'm not going to say a surprise, because we talked about the type of safeties that this team has now, that can play in the slot, that can play back, that can play in the box. And so you see that in Lonnie Johnson, you see that in Amadi, Molden, even though he's a backup corner depth, he played in some slots. So really athletic secondary. I'm really excited to see this secondary play, whether it's Farley or McCrary on the outside along with Fulton. There's some opportunity there, though, to be one of the best in the league, in my opinion, G-Wit, for this secondary.
Yeah, and again, I go back to what we said earlier, that front seven is going to have to be the key for that. I think starting out early, if they can keep keeping pressure on the quarterback and everything, that's going to help Farley, who I think is probably going to be your day one starter. As far as on the outside is concerned, I don't know if how that's going to work out in the slot with McCreary or Molden. I think McCreary is probably going to be in there because I'm not sure about Molden's health.
Mhm.
But still, I'm like you. I'm interested to see how these DBs are going to look. I think they did a good job in who they picked. Again, Lonnie Johnson, I thought that was a good stick because he showed up and showed out, and plus he's a big one. Like I said, again, you're talking about a safety that's going to have to cover tight end
Right.
and be able to run with tight ends who are basically flankers, for lack of a better term. So he's got to be able to cover them and everything. Again, give us that Dane Cruikshank role that he picked up last year. I think if they can do that with him coming in and still keep a Monty Hooker down low to play the run or whatever the case may be. Because again, you're talking about two smart safeties with him and Bayard, both of them interchangeable. I think we're going to see the secondary be a little bit better than what we originally thought coming into camp and everything.
Yeah, and to your point, Lonnie Johnson's a big guy. He's 6'2", 213, and got some pretty good speed. And Jay Lou, we had talked about a lot of this athleticism in this secondary and how it's going to be this year. And you know, with Amandia Johnson and Molden, you know, there's a lot of depth there. Even Kaluk.
Yeah, man, ton of depth, and they all play a different role. You know, even though Farley might be the starter on the outside, I think him and McCreary are going to probably have the same amount of snaps. And the thing about McCreary, I mean, you're going to see at some point Farley, Fulton, McCreary, and Molden as the four on the field. Because to me, if you see a package like that, I immediately think Molden's blitzing. Because to me, he's a better blitzer out of the slot than McCreary. McCreary's just a sticky guy with coverage. But yeah, the athleticism there, man, it meshes well. And again, we got to remember these guys are young. You got Kevin Bayard. I mean, he's the captain back there. He's the senior back there. So you got a lot of young guys, long, and I think was brought up in the comments last week. We've got speed. That's something, if you think about 2 years ago, we were missing speed. We got speed on the outside now, which was missing. So either one of our top two or top three you put out there has speed, and they can still get physical. And that's what you like. Now again, let's keep an eye this week on Molden. We know that he's been in and out since the beginning of camp with a leg injury. But let's see if he's ready to come back. But you've got to think that the McCreary can be the steal of the draft. Originally we thought we drafted him, you know, to probably replace Farley. If Farley can come to fruition, which again, I thought he majorly improved from game after game. At that last game, he looked like a starting DB in this league. So if we can hit on him and you hit on McCreary and Fulton has been, again, you don't hear Christian Fulton's name because he's quietly becoming somebody you don't want to throw to.
Right.
If he can stay that way, man, this you got to have the back end support the front. And I think the pass rush can get after to where even on some of these short routes, and as long as we're not playing 7 yards off, even on some of these man-to-man short yard routes, we got the DBs that want to jump them and take them. You know, I see some pick sixes going their way.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna get some comments in because Taylor asked a good question. He said, "How suited are these DBs to play mainly press coverage?" So Taylor, I think this might be the first time in a few years, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, that we have the ability to play press man across the board.
I can't remember nobody outside of that year with Samari Roll and that crew.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
and still even with that crew with Samari Roll, you had a couple of deficiencies on the other side.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
I agree with you. This, especially with McCreary coming in. That's he, like you said, he may end up being the steal of the draft. And you know, he's got short arms and everything, but the bottom line is he's sticky. I mean, you know, like I said earlier, I'm not going to be surprised when some PIs come in. I know it's going to happen with him because he's a rookie. But you brought up a good point, J. Lou. If you get, I think Farley, McCreary, Molden, and Fulton in the game, man, that's going to lead to something because if nothing else, Molden learned from last year about blitzing.
Yes.
And not really. His problem last year wasn't so much him getting in there. It was just he just showed it too quick.
Yep.
Yeah, he
So
did.
if he learns how to disguise it better, which we said it last year, very intelligent football player.
Intelligent.
He learns how to disguise it better, then yeah, you're exactly right. There's going to be some sneaky blitz packages coming into this thing.
I think that's why if you notice, even out in practice, you didn't see Schwartzy out a lot anyway. I think he's up in the office cooking up schemes for this team because he's chopping at the bits to get them out there, man. But yeah, it's that back to Taylor's question. We said that a couple shows ago. Farley is at his best when he's in man press coverage. Zone, he ain't really got zoned down right yet, but man press coverage, if you go back and look at the preseason games, that's when he's been at his best, when he's been in press.
Yeah, and that goes back to something Virgil said. Appreciate the comment, Virgil. He said, I'd rather see Farley or Hooker on Waller and McCreary on the outside. So you might see Farley on
might
Waller.
see that.
Yeah. That might be a great matchup as far as our defense goes.
And to that comment, and it goes back to what we just said. Think about what he just said. Farley arguably could be the number 1 or number 2 corner on this team.
Mm-hmm.
We have never had the depth to put our number 1 or number 2 corner on a tight end and still be fine at the wide, covering the wide receiver. So that just goes to show you the depth we built.
And if you stop and think about it, really, it makes sense if that happens because Farley is 6'2".
Yes.
Right. That's right.
Yes.
And McCreary is 5'11".
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense if that happens. You want to put him on somebody like a Knox or your boy in Oakland. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Darren Waller. You want to put him on them? Yeah, that makes sense. He can keep up with it.
See, Carlton, man, appreciate your comment, man. He said, do you guys think this is a top 5 defense, even with the loss of Landry? I'll let y'all start with that one.
It depends on. So it depends on how you classify top 5. Do I think it can be top 5 in scoring? Yes. Do I think it can be top 10 when you look at total yards? I think so. Because one thing we know about the yardage, this team, nothing's changed in my mind on us being able to stop the run. We're going to be able to stop the run.
Exactly.
Right.
The thing is, you're going to have teams pass for 340, 350 yards.
That's the key.
But that's the key because we have that bend but don't break mentality. So when you look at total yards, I think it can be top 10. But I'm worried about scoring, and I think this can be still a top 5 scoring defense.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you right there, Jay Lou, because I just think, like you said, I just don't see people really running against us, not successfully, especially with the way it ended last year. I mean, you end up being the number 2 rush defense in the league. That's saying a lot in a 17-game season.
Yes.
And then on top of that, I think if our defense comes to play and that secondary comes to play, I think you might see some high passing yardage, but I think it's going to be more in garbage time than anything else.
Yeah.
Because if we can stop them from scoring, like you say, that's gonna do it. That's the thing I'm hoping. What I'm hoping for out of this defense is that we're shutting down the scoring, and we got a defense that's going to average 6 points a game. They're gonna make 6 points a game.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, go ahead and clarify that.
Yes, they're gonna make 6 points a game. I'm talking about scoring on turnovers and things of that nature. Pick sixes, fumble recoveries, whatever. I'm just looking for them to do that. Yeah, because you get a defense that's gonna go 6 points a game, 10 points a game. Hey, that's a stop down good defense. That's a top 5 defense.
Yeah. And if you look at it, even with us playing the seconds and thirds and the fourths, even to that point during preseason, nobody ran the ball. Even when Leonard Fournette was in the game until about the second quarter, he had one good run.
The first
one. Like 10, 12 yards. After that was on lockdown. So
yes,
to your point, Jay Lou, especially with the high-powered offenses that there are now, it's not uncommon to give up in these days of football. To give up 300-400 yards passing, that doesn't make it. That doesn't make the difference. The difference is red zone defense.
Yeah.
How do you perform in the red zone? And I think here's the thing. I think, guys, as well. I think we see a vast improvement on turnovers this year as far as the defense creating.
Yes.
Will says, do we think that Landry and Henry's injuries resulted from snap percentage? That's a great question, Will. I do think, as we talked about a few minutes ago, I think Landry already had some kind of issue with his legs, whether it been hamstring or whatever it was. For him to pop a ACL doing conditioning, I'm not saying that can't happen, but something there. It's something there that was happening beforehand to lead up to that situation. And so Him playing as many snaps as he has the last few years, that there is some wear and tear. I'm not saying that's what caused it, but I do think there was something wrong with his leg beforehand.
But man, you look at his snap count, man. Really, over the last 3 years, 3 seasons,
Yeah,
he had more. He was on the field all the time. He
All
never
the
came
time.
off.
Nope. Only
He
game
never
he's
came
missed
off.
his career was his very first game he was inactive for.
that's
Yeah,
right.
Other
that
than
was
that,
it.
he's played every single one.
He's played every single one, and he's played the whole game. I mean,
Mhm.
and like we said, he never came out. So, hey, trust me when it's a big loss. It's a big loss. But like we said, if between the 3 guys we mentioned, Weaver, Adeniyi, Anini, and the guy we pulled from Pittsburgh, 4 guys, if between those 4 we can get some good production out of them on the run and the passing, as far as rushing the pass is concerned, I think we'll be okay.
And I think if we don't see the pressure so much from that position, I think you see a little bit more mold and type blitzes from the slot. With
Blitzes,
these,
yes.
some of these safeties, lining
Mhm.
up, doing some of those type things. And so, let's look at the other one, which we talked about this as well, is the Stonehouse over I
Brett
forgot his
Kern.
name. Kern, thank
Kern,
you,
yeah.
Kern. Which that we said that. Kern, 15 years in, 1 more year left on his deal. J. Lou, you brought up saving the $2.3 million in
$3 million.
cap space
Mhm.
and you saw what happened with Derek Henry. He gets a new $2 million raise. I'm not saying that was the money, but it's just
Yeah.
kind of funny how that worked out.
Mhm.
And so Stonehouse, you got a guy you almost can guarantee this your future punter the way he was kicking in preseason. I mean, it was a no-brainer to keep him on the team. And let Kern walk. And Kern looks like he's going to just retire and stay in Nashville, if you will. So gee, with no surprise that we talked about that. Stacy says the punter's gonna let the D eat. Yeah, if he could flip the field position like he did in the preseason, man, I think you'll see more aggressiveness out of this defense. And
I heard you heard Coach Mack say it on the Titans radio on one of the shows this week. 20 yards is still the 20-yard line. So whether he's putting them inside the 20 or putting them in the end zone, they still got to go 80 yards to score a touchdown. So when you look at it that way, I mean, he's got the leg to kick it from our end zone to the other end zone. And that's flipping the field. I mean, there's not a spot on the field he can't flip the field, if that makes sense.
Well, here's the thing about it, and as much as I hate to say this, and I'm hoping it's not true, but we're going to find out real quick.
Oh, yes.
We're going to find out real quick.
Yeah, play 4 Sunday.
Yeah, we're going to find out real quick.
yeah, run, pass. Come on,
we're going to find out real quick. I hate saying it like that. I hope it's not the case, but I think we're going to find out real quick on Sunday, and we'll see what he does in live action and everything.
Yeah.
But, Coach Mack is exactly right. Like I said, back in the day, John Madden used to tell this punter, kick it as far as you can. Forget about hang time. Just kick it as far as you can. And we know that this guy, he's got a leg on him. Like I said, I was timing hang time during the preseason, and he was averaging 4.5 hang time, which is outstanding for a punter. So we'll see how it works. But like Coach Mack said, they're either going to start from inside the 20 or they're going to be at the 20.
The one sneaky thing about Racy going on IR, I want to see who the gunners are on special teams.
That's because
you really didn't see it the last game because he played a little bit and they were mixing everybody else in. Now I know Lonnie Johnson did it a couple times with Racy and looked good, but that's an unsung spot, that gunner spot that G would talk about. That's what Cruikshank used to do all the time. So interested to see which of those safeties they roll out there. I think outside of Lonnie Johnson, because that can really make a break, especially when you got a punter like that that's hanging it up in the air where they can get down and kind of down them. So that's something I'll be looking forward to.
And so that's the 53 guys. So let's turn our attention now to week 1, fellas. We got a big matchup coming in. Like I mentioned earlier, a new head coach, Daniel Jones at quarterback. The Giants have a running back in Saquon Barkley he's out to prove this year, right? He's hearing the same things that Derrick Henry is hearing. He's injury prone. Well, not Derrick Henry's hearing this, but Saquon's hearing the same thing. He can't stay healthy. He's not the same back. Derrick Henry's hearing the same thing. His first injury. He's 29. He's getting to that pinnacle age of running backs where they start going downhill after they hit that number. And so, fellas, we have a tough matchup this week. 3:25 on Sunday. the Giants was 31st in overall offense, 287 yards a game, 99 rush, 188 pass. And so you look at what they did in the offseason. Like I said, new coach Daniel Jones, Tyrod Taylor, backup quarterback, Matt Breida, the backs up Barkley.
Tyrod, man.
Yeah, yeah, Tyrod got beat up in the preseason. Now that's one thing you can look at the offensive line and could be questionable to keep Daniel Jones up. But they got some guys though. They got Kadarius Toney, which is a speed guy. Wendell Robinson, Darius Slayton, and so there's some weapons on this team, G. Witt. But we got to get pressure up front to take control of this football game.
Here's the key to going to be for the Giants. In all honesty, I'm not so much really concerned about Saquon on running the ball. My concern with Saquon is him catching the ball out the backfield. Yeah. I mean, that's really where he's the most dangerous. Mm-hmm. I don't see him really. Don't get me wrong, he's got good feet and everything, but I think running the ball, we're pretty good there. But I think his thing is going to be catching the ball at the backfield, and we're going to have somebody that's going to be able to not only cover but bring him down. And he got some strong legs, so you got to take him. You got to take him down. You can't take him down up top. Right. Because he'll carry it. Mm-hmm. So, that's the thing about Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones is going to be up and down. I think he's shown that over the years. His inconsistency shows up. You don't know what our boy from Buffalo Bills are going to do with him as far as the passing offense is concerned. But again, if that offensive line for them is the same as it has been over the past, I'm going to say throughout Daniel Jones' entire career, it might be a long day for Daniel Jones and Saquon. Seriously.
They drafted Evan Neal out of Alabama to play at right tackle, and then Andrew Thomas from Georgia a couple years before that. And so they got a pair of young tackles that could have a promising future, J. Lou. But man, we win up front, right? We win in the trenches on both sides of the football.
Yeah, and this is a game that I feel like Jeff Simmons is out to prove a lot this year. And I think it starts with this first game because, again, if you stop the run, I mean, we always say stop the run, but especially when you got a dynamic running back like Saquon, the one thing we're going to have to do with Daniel Jones is stay on our keys. You don't know him. He's not known to be a mobile quarterback, but he can be a mobile quarterback.
That's right.
So just to stay on those keys, I agree with G. Witt. You've seen his inconsistencies. We can get that pressure up the middle. This is one, especially with those young tackles. That depending on what you see them try to do with tight ends and stuff chipping, but don't be surprised if some of the game plan is kind of that old Jim Schwartz wide nine with some of these outside linebackers wide outside of the tackles a little bit, just to make them take that step with them being younger. And I can see Bud hitting a spin move right now back on the inside. So their offensive line is definitely. I mean, Tyrod Taylor, he's questionable. I don't even know if he's going to be the backup Sunday because he had a night injury that last preseason game. But I agree with G. Witt. We don't want to see him because Tyrod Taylor will turn into Superman against the Titans.
Always.
But man, yeah, it's Saquon. Saquon's going to be. Their game plan. They're going to feature him. Just like we want to feature 22 on the other side. So we've got to stop that. And you want to make I want Daniel Jones to throw the ball on us and test us because that's why I don't think they're at their best.
Right. And so we look at their defense. They run a 3-4 base. Dexter Lawrence up front, Leonard Williams. Of course, Kayvon Thibodeau is questionable right now with that knee injury. And so we got a familiar face coming back, though, fellas. Adoree Jackson. I think this may be the first time that we've seen him since he's left the Titans. And so pretty interesting secondary on that side of the ball. But I think there's still opportunity. Of course, our receivers are going to have to get open, right? And I think that goes to what we talked about earlier, the short timing routes. Downey's going to have to mix up the play calling very well to get this offense going because, again, to me, my concern is the number one offense has not been on the field in live action.
Yeah.
At all.
Right.
I know they Leonard Williams is going to be I think the last time he played against us when he was with the Jets still had a pretty decent game.
He did.
He's a solid pass rusher, so you would expect him to be on that right side, testing testing MPF. Testing him. Now linebackers, this is where they're. I know they let go of Blake Martinez. They parted ways. That's probably their best linebacker, one of the best in the league. So if we can block up, if we can get the blocks up front, you can run on this defense.
Mhm.
I think we'll see us establish that. Now, I'm of the mindset that you pass to set up the run. It always works and spread them out, especially when they're at linebacker like that. But it's I'm with you, Ed. If we're gonna have to, I'm sure we'll do some chipping on the right side a little bit because Williams, I think that's where he's going to exploit that matchup. But this linebacker, this is another matchup where you can see the tight ends, like we've been saying with the dink and dunk, really take advantage. Because again, I would say that's probably the weakest part of the Giants' defense is the linebacking core.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. I'm not sure exactly because I didn't get to watch the Giants too much last year to see exactly what they was running. I know things are changing this year,
Mhm.
but I agree with you. I mean, Leonard Williams is going to be a handful for anybody, even Taylor Lewan, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
So yeah, there's got to be some chipping going on and everything. But again, I think this is a defense that you can run on, and that's going to be the key. And I think that's one of the things. And again, it's if I would put it like this: if they come out and don't run the ball on the first play, I'd be shocked. I'll be shocked.
I think you and 68,000 other people in the stadium would be as well.
Right.
And I think, but my thing is this. I mean, it's going to be up. I'm wondering how they're going to do it. Is Torrey Carter going to be in there blocking for him, or is he going to be in there by himself, single back, and running straight out the eye? So I don't know.
If you look at the base offense, I was like, if you look at the base offense, they got a list of 3 wide receivers and 1 tight end.
And
Yeah, but I don't see that happen. I see them, like we said earlier, I see them running 2 tight ends, and possibly running the ball or whatever. I'm not sure they're going to be having 3 wide outs on this offense. It wasn't in his MO last year, and he had plenty of opportunities to do it.
Yeah, we'll see what he does. Hopefully, having Tim Kelly go ahead.
One thing about this defense, we talked about the new coaching staff, Martindale. You can expect to see a bunch of blitzes because he came from Baltimore.
Yes.
So, so they better get ready for that because he will blitz 80% of the game.
Yeah.
He blitzed at least 45% of the time for Baltimore over the last couple seasons.
Yes.
I mean, that's facts. And so you best believe they're gonna see all kind of exotic stuff coming at Tannehill. Especially, like I said, they haven't played all preseason. He knows that, and so he's gonna dial them up early and often. He's gonna test out NPF. He's gonna test out Aaron Brewer and those guys up front to see, hey, let's see what you guys got. Let's see what these young receivers, if they can read the blitz routes, and get open, and slow this pressure down. So we'll say.
But I'm gonna say this real quick though. This is the one promising thing I did see in the preseason. It's the last game against Arizona because Phillips was in, and Arizona lined up, and you could tell it was going to be a blitz. And my thought process was somebody needs to come open across the middle. Who was it? Phillips.
Yeah.
So that, to me, that shows the importance of Tim Kelly.
Yeah.
Because last season, and I hate going back to last season, but
you got to.
You look at that Bengals playoff game. Nobody ran a blitz read. Nobody ran a blitz route at all. Nobody changed. And so for us to see that now in the preseason and recognize it, man, that's great. Because Tim Kelly he's paying off, right? He's paying off because I'm sure Downing didn't do that himself.
No. I'm gonna tell you, it was because he did it for Malik Willis, and I was like, because I'm up in the stands, I'm like, it's a blitz, man. It's obvious. And did a 3-step drop, got that ball out of there quick, and Phillips was right there to catch it. No harm, no foul.
Yep. And so Will says he's not worried about Danny because the turf monster would take care of him. Yeah, we saw that, man. We saw the turf monster tackle him. And then Will said, he also says it's going to be a toss sweep. No, man. Toss sweep.
No, this toss sweep is going to be the second down play.
The second down play.
And
it's going to be out of single back.
Yes, out of single back. Yes.
Out of single back,
First play is going to be dive up the middle. Second play will be toss to the left side.
We'll be in 3rd and 9, and they'll run an all-out engaged 8 blitz.
and then we'll run a 2-yard route.
2-yard route
to the tight ends and be 3 and out. First 2 series, 3 and out.
If that happens, I'm going up to the press box myself and talk to Donnie down here.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, I hope we don't see that, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, that's what we saw in the preseason.
Yeah. So I mean, hopefully they were just being vanilla, as you
You
say.
hope. Yeah.
Although you did see some wrinkles with Malik and the RPO, you saw
Mhm.
some of those things. You saw some more bootleg type things.
You saw them the last game as well scheme Traylon Burks open.
Yeah.
A lot of
You
those
did.
pass plays were actual schemes for him.
That's
so
right. That's right.
Yeah.
That Vrabel said we don't do anything like that.
You're
We don't
right.
scheme receiver. That's what he said. That's
He
what he
did
said.
say
Right?
That is what he said.
He said that after the second preseason game when they was like, why is he not throwing the ball to Burks?
Uh-huh.
Well, we don't scheme guys up. We don't.
Yeah, in the
So,
preseason, we don't
in
scheme
the
them open.
preseason. So, thank y'all for joining us for another episode of Halftime Adjustment. Getting your comments, your questions, and appreciate the support of the show, guys. Kickoff Sunday, man, 3:25. New York Football Giants coming to the building. It's time. It's time.
Now they count for real.
Now they count for real.
Yeah, man.
Now you see the King going full speed in practice. Now you see
Yes.
stuff ramping up. This
Yeah.
defense, man.
Yeah.
I'm so eager to see. I want to see the secondary. I mean, I want to see the full defense go.
Yeah.
All we've seen is Farley, and we've seen some of the Fulton in the secondary, seen a little bit of Bayer, but we hadn't seen everybody yet
Yeah.
together. And
I'm
that's what's
telling
gonna
you,
be
man.
impressive.
With Landry being out, I'm excited to see Weaver. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
Weaver had a good camp. He had
Yeah,
a really
I'm
good
excited.
camp.
I'm excited to see him because I want to see what he's really going to be able to do. Because he really wasn't playing that bad when he got hurt last.
No, he wasn't.
season.
No,
I
not
thought
at
he was
all.
playing pretty decent.
You
So I'm
think
really
about it.
interested to see him play in this defense. But since Landry's going to be out, you're going to get a chance to see him. I'm really interested in seeing that. But on the offensive side, like I said, all preseason, I can't judge anything because I hadn't seen him, so I don't
Right.
know.
You don't know.
I just don't know. It's the wild card. I don't know what's going to happen.
If you go back to last preseason with Weaver, talking about him, he started. You remember that first game? He started. He had like 2 sacks, and
Mhm.
so we saw it flash into his unfortunate injury. But so we know it's there, and he
But-
picked up where he left off in the preseason this season. So we'll go ahead,
Yeah.
G-Wick.
And that's what I was going to say. Remember, we played against Atlanta. He got a
Mhm.
couple sacks in that game. Then you didn't hear no more about him in the rest of the preseason when he was playing because he was getting stonewalled.
Mhm.
Difference this year, you see him. He's actually really more active. Got more in his repertoire as far as rushing the pass is concerned. Like I said, he plays the run pretty good. He's
Mhm.
not as good as Landry, but I'm interested to see how he's going to do in the regular season. I think he might be sneaky good and he won't make us forget Landry, but he won't make us be so worried that we have to go without.
And
Agreed.
see, here's the thing too, guys, and I know y'all understand this, but when you put people in different positions, especially like a starting position, something on the inside changes.
Yeah.
It comes
Yeah.
out, and so
Yeah.
now you put him as the guy on that side, and we all assuming that's who's going to be the player. You know, it might be another level for him. It might be another level, and so we'll see. Let's see. Adam Peters, man, thank you for joining the show. He said, "How do you think our O-line will do in run blocking and pass blocking?"
Run blocking is going to be. I don't worry about run blocking.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the only now is I say that, and you're gonna have folks that say, "Well, Derrick Henry only got 1 yard." Yeah, because if I got 5 offensive linemen, I can't block 8 D linemen. So it's a matter of hitting our keys when they have the box loaded. This offensive line is built to run block.
Yeah.
Pass blocking is
It's the
where
problem.
that's the problem, and I'm interested to see again the starters, but I want to see Tannehill's progression. Like
Right.
just seeing him in camp and seeing him. I've been saying he seems a little bit more relaxed. He's taking control of the offense. You've seen him in people's face in practice when they mess up and all. I think you see Tannehill revert back to. I think we see a lot of 3 to 4 step drops. I think outside of our glance play or play action, I don't think you see a lot of down the field deep throws because I think that's how you combat the offensive line problems. And let's just be honest, I think Tannehill's at his best when he's dinking and ducking and willing and dealing like that. I would like to see if he's starting that and hitting the short 5 yards, is 6 yards here or there. I would like to see us run a little bit more hurry up. So I want to see exactly how much control of the field they give him as far as the game, how the game feels, and calling audibles and stuff. But run blocking, yeah, this offensive line is built to run block.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, we're built to run the ball without a doubt, which is a good thing. But at the same time, with Tannehill, I agree with you, Jay Lou. I think if they run like a quick pace offense, I think it's more in his wheelhouse. The play comes in quicker. He gets to the line. He can make adjustments, and he gets the ball out quicker. You know, you keep saying the 5 to 6 yard. I'm looking more like the 10 to 15-yard runs, throws. If he can get those going really good and everything, mid-range throws, that's really where he's going to thrive. And I think if guys can get open, it's going to help out the running game a lot. That's going to have to be the key. But it's, like you said, it's also going to help out on the pass blocking as well. People just got to get open. I think with Bobby Trees, I think that's what we might see. People getting open on those short crossing routes or whatever, and Tannehill able to get the ball out a lot quicker.
Well, you think about it too, what he came out of, right? Bobby Trees, right? Well, he came out of that specialized in crossing routes, and, you know, dinking and dunking. And now he wasn't that deep guy. No, Cooper Kupp ran those deep routes, right? He was the guy that came across the middle and got those tough yards, and I think you see a lot of that. I think you see a lot out of Burks. Matter of fact, I think you see a lot more looks at Burks with Tannehill in the game.
100% agree.
Because what we saw during practice is that he threw the ball to Treylon a lot.
Yes.
I mean, even on 7-on-7s, even in teams, he threw the ball to Treylon a lot. And I think you see that more in the game, that he'll have more targets and might potentially have a big game. Will says, why is Jeff Swain tight end too? That's a great question. Will.
Because they couldn't put 2 fullbacks on there. He's just fullback number 2.
Yeah. right. There you go. There you go.
He's just fullback number 2.
I think you see Chig more than that.
Yeah, you see, man, and you bring up Chig, you bring up Treylon. We've got a lot of players on this team that's going to play important roles that are 2 years or less in the league. I mean, you think about, we've been talking about Weaver. We basically got another rookie in Weaver and Farley because they didn't really get their rookie season last year. So that's a lot of youth that we've in. You know, this is one of those where you never want to use the word rebuilding, but I mean, it's a rebuild when you bring it in youth, but it's a competitive rebuild because you still brought them in and we're very competitive and we're going to be expecting them to play a lot for us day one.
Right.
Yeah. And that's going to be the whole key, man. Because again, when I look back, you heard the news. Once they cut Brett Kern, Taylor Lewan is the senior man on the entire squad.
Yes.
You know, so you're looking at that, man. Again, we talked about it earlier in training camp. When you look at the roster, J-Rob has pretty much flipped the offense, with the exception of the offensive line. He's pretty much flipped the skill positions and everything. And defensively, we're in the same boat, really. I mean, you're talking about our senior guys on defense really that have more experience than Kevin Byard is actually Danico Autry and Bud Dupree.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else is less than 6 years. You know, and that includes Zach Cunningham.
Yeah.
So, you know, you stop and think about that defense is still it's got some pretty good maturity on it, but they're still very young.
Right. Virgil says with the hurry up offense, the matchups don't change. That's correct. You're exactly right. But what it does, it gets the offense into a rhythm. And I don't know if you've ever played football and rushed the passer continuously without getting off the field. I mean, it's very tiring.
It's tiring. Yeah.
So then when you get late in the game, you got 22 coming at you and you got to make that tackle. He's got to get 2 or 3 yards to get a first down. Advantage 22. So
yeah.
So you saw it. If you watch college football yesterday, you saw it in the Notre Dame and Ohio State game. Exactly what happened is they went no huddle, up tempo, and what happened? The defense got tired. They started missing a bunch of tackles, and all of a sudden you got this running back that's slicing them up the whole second half. But anyway, so guys, again, thank you for joining us for another episode of Halftime Adjustments. Eddie Arnell G with J. Lou, man. Week 1 on the horizon, 3:25 kickoff, Nissan Stadium against the New York Football Giants, man. It's time. It's on. And it's we ready to go. So again, thank y'all for joining us tonight. Join us next time. We'll be talking about the recap of the dub over the Giants. Eddie Arnell G with J. Lou, man. We are out of here. Peace.